Hi, and welcome back to Community Hotline. Glad you stayed with us. We're now going to talk with the City of Gresham. It's their recycling division, and with us to represent them is Shauna Shadle, and you are the residential recycling coordinator. I had to look and remember what your title was. Shauna, it's lovely to have you here.
Thank you.
I've known you now and I've worked with you for a while now. You keep very busy at the City of Gresham, and they have a very proactive approach to energy in the city. It's very impressive. What is it that you specifically do? What is your role as a recycling coordinator? What does that mean?
Yes, yeah, and energy is part of what some of our division does with our businesses work. And for 6 years, I worked in the Great Business Program, assisting businesses with energy conservation, water conservation, recycling and waste prevention, and green purchasing. And just about 2 years ago, I transferred to a different position in the same division as the residential and schools recycling coordinator. So a longer title, a little bit more work. And I essentially help the people of Gresham and schools in Gresham recycle and prevent waste and anything that has to do with education or outreach. I also coordinate the city's Earth Day recycling event.
Right, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. Yeah, so instead of the businesses, which was part of the GREAT program, which we recently became certified here at MetroEast, and it was a wonderful experience. Yeah, it was sort of spurred us on to do even more. So,
yes, I know. I've heard about you guys are going to maybe look into solar panels.
We are getting
for the
solar
building.
panels.
That's very exciting.
I know.
Very progressive.
And some things that we just hadn't thought of, and it was very helpful. So you do it now with residences and schools. And the schools must be a huge thing because you're getting the school kids involved too. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it is. It's more in depth. You know, when you work with a school, for example, businesses can compost in Gresham. And to get a school composting, we have to educate the students, we have to get the principal buy-in, we have to get the district buy-in. We really have to get the custodian to be on board. He or she is a major player. So once we get everybody in agreement, then we do this whole campaign where we roll out education to the kids. And the kids are actually composting whatever's left over from their lunches and their breakfasts in the cafeteria. So it's totally different than a restaurant where they're just putting food scraps in this bin instead of this bin. So we've successfully brought 11 schools onto the compost program in Gresham, which is a lot. And it's hard work. We've been bringing on about 3 to 5 per year. We can only do a certain amount per year, and we kind of have a waiting list going already for the next couple years.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
That means that the word of mouth is getting out there that it works, because it's a savings too.
It is. It is. It's a savings, and it's. We're saving so much weight from going to the landfill. We calculated it was something of the order of 2 or 3 African elephants by weight that we diverted just from the schools last school year. And some of them weren't even composting all year. So it's just a ton of food scraps that it's just the ends of things, crusts of bread or, the crust of pizza or sticks from a corn dog or a half-eaten carrot stick, and it adds up.
What age group are we talking about when you say the schools?
Yes, so I work with all of the schools, anywhere from kindergarten to high school. We have really only been composting with elementary schools and middle schools. For some reason, the younger students are much easier to teach how to compost than the high school students.
They haven't learned all those bad habits so far.
Right. Yeah. The elementary students are actually just on it way more than the older students. They're excited about it. Yeah. They're eager to be taught something new and to learn and to help and to be involved.
Right. And what a great opportunity to teach them about energy and about like the Net Zero project that we've been somewhat involved in. The kids are really excited about knowing about that and incorporating that into their schoolwork.
Absolutely.
Which is great to find something that is practical and that they can use the rest of their lives and actually, is a good thing, and they're excited about it. That doesn't always happen.
Some of the students are really involved, like they're involved in the green team, and they help with the lunch line, sorting the food so that compost doesn't go into the garbage or garbage doesn't go into the compost. And at each school, we probably have like 10 to 30 students that are super involved. They get prizes and pizza parties, and we come and
it's a leadership opportunity
help them plant
for them.
things. And I feel like these are the students that are going to go on to do this in middle school and in high school and in college and find careers in environmental conservation. And it's just really inspiring to see these kids work so hard at something that might seem so simple.
Yeah, but It's not.
It's not, and it's
I
so
get very
fun.
frustrated with adults who don't know how to separate their recycling. It's like,
Adults are worse than kids.
why do you put that in there? It drives me crazy. I bet a lot of those kids take that home with them too.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the kids really are teaching the parents now instead of, the roles being reversed, because we're coming to the schools and the teachers are bringing that into the curriculum, and we're really teaching them, the reduce, the reuse, recycle, how to recycle right, and how to compost. And then they come home and they're calling their parents out like, that doesn't go in the recycling bin, or that doesn't go in the trash. And and it goes in reverse too. Parents can teach their children, like at my house, our son is in charge of taking out the recycling and the garbage, and that's just his job, and it always has been. And I check it to make sure it's right. And as an incentive, he gets the money from the deposit bottles and cans.
Perfect.
He makes a lot of money.
See, that to me makes perfect sense, Shauna,
good.
and I think that's brilliant because I have some neighbors who have kids that are old enough to know how to recycle. You don't have to be all that old to know how to do the separating. And they don't, and I go out to the garbage cans, and there's all these cans and bottles and everything mixed up. I think, you know what? You're paying for extra garbage,
Right.
for one thing.
It's more expensive to throw things
and the
away.
kids could get the money from those cans and bottles. They'd be thrilled to have that. Especially-
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's sort of a win-win to get the kids involved in that. Plus, they're learning some responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like, if they get the money from the bottles and cans, it's like their first job.
Yeah. I was going to ask you what you did with your son. I wonder, does he actually get to do that? Because that makes sense.
Yeah, he's slowly buying my old iPhone from me right now.
Really?
So, yeah, he's making money.
I love it. I love it. So Earth Day is something that you're in charge of. Earth Day.
Yes.
That's a big undertaking. Tell me what the city is doing for Earth Day this year.
So this will be my 7th or 8th year coordinate the city's Earth Day recycling event. It's a huge event. It's our 18th annual Earth Day recycling event. It started off just being kind of an extra dump day. We were doing yard debris and extra garbage and tires and other things, and it slowly moved on to things that you can't put in your recycle bin at home. And it's just for residents. It's not for businesses. Otherwise, we would just be overwhelmed, and it'd be a very expensive project. But we're taking things like styrofoam. You can't put styrofoam in your recycle bin at home, and it's confusing sometimes because most styrofoam has the chasing arrows on it, and people associate the recycling chasing arrow symbol with recycling, but it doesn't go in the bin at home, so we can save it year-round for this event. Some people probably don't want to put paper that has their important information on it in the recycle bin, so they can save that and have it securely shredded at this event with Shred Northwest, who's been a partner of ours for years.
You brought a few pictures, and maybe we could take a look at those. I think this is from past events, or maybe just from last year. But there's a lot of people involved in making this work.
Yeah, we have about 90 volunteers, and we get 1,200 to 1,500 cars coming through every year.
And where is it?
It's at Gresham City Hall.
Okay. So this is a volunteer, I assume?
Yes, that's my husband volunteering last year.
Why does he look familiar? That's why he looked familiar when he came in, because I've seen his picture. That's hilarious.
And we're recycling some small appliances.
Everything but no TVs.
No TVs, yeah. And we get lots and lots of plastic bags. You can't recycle plastic bags in your bin at home. That really messes with the recycling and with the equipment. So we give residents a way to recycle those here. This is a nonprofit that we partner with, Habitat Restore. People bring us things that are sometimes useful, like we can recycle those plastic chairs that are behind them, but all those plastic chairs were perfectly usable. People just didn't want them anymore, so we're donating them to 2 nonprofits, Birch Community Services and Habitat Restore.
Both really good nonprofits. That's great. And there's AccuShred, which we've used them here before too. They do a good job.
It's just a really fun event. You can see residents are really happy, and the volunteers have a great time. It's just a really fun day.
I hope the weather is just as pretty as
I
that day,
know.
because
I'm
that
praying.
would make it really
I'm praying
nice.
for sun.
So the event is Earth Day is April.
It's April 23rd. Well,
23rd,
our
23rd.
Earth Day is April 23rd. I think actual Earth Day, celebration of Earth Day is the 22nd.
Oh, okay.
But our event wants to be on a Saturday, and that's definitely
If your
more
event wants to be on a
convenient.
Saturday, let's have it on a Saturday. Yeah.
So it's April 23rd at Gresham City Hall, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll be taking styrofoam, paper for shredding, fluorescent bulbs and tubes, cell phones, large rigid plastics like those chairs that were in the photo, but also smaller rigid plastics, things that you can't put in the bin, like a to-go to-go salad container that's clean.
Right. The stuff that I always am taking out
Right,
because somebody
I
else
know.
is already putting
If
it in.
it's not a plastic bottle or tub,
With a
that
neck.
plastic
With a-
doesn't belong in the recycle bin. Exactly. So anything else we'll pretty much take. Small appliances and electronics, whether they're broken or working. If they're working, we'll try to donate them. If they're broken, we'll get them recycled. Last year we were doing batteries. It's just really expensive and time consuming, and there's not much bang for the recycling buck when
Okay.
you're recycling a battery. So we're not taking batteries at this year's event.
But there's a local retailer, isn't there, that
Right,
will
yeah.
take the batteries?
Batteries Plus and Bulbs in Gresham will take batteries, and then Metro Hazardous Waste Roundup events, they come through the neighborhoods,
Right.
through Gresham multiple times
Yeah.
through spring and summer and fall, so they'll take batteries too.
That's great. And if people have questions, I mean, you can always call Metro. They, have all those answers.
Absolutely.
But
Or they can call us.
Or they can call you.
Yeah, we love getting questions from residents or schools or businesses, and sometimes it turns into us going on site at a business and assisting someone when they just call and say, hey, can I recycle this styrofoam? And we can go out there and help them set up a system for gathering that styrofoam and getting it to a place that will
Actually
have it recycled, because it can't go in that bin, but it takes up a ton of space in the garbage, and we get charged way more for garbage
Right.
than we do recycling.
That's right.
So always call us when there's a question. We love getting those calls.
What about those darn peanuts?
Yes, so styrofoam peanuts, yeah, we can't recycle those either. Some places will recycle them, like a specialty place in Metro is really the expert on who recycles what when, but I can look that up too. We'll take peanuts at Earth Day too, but a lot of mailing places will take those back
yeah.
for reuse if
Yeah.
you have a big bag of them. And we have even some local residents who have eBay businesses, and they come and pick up our peanuts
Yeah.
and they use them for shipping.
And see, that's the thing. Places like, or websites like nextdoor.com, where you can go and say, hey, does anybody have any of those old peanuts,
Absolutely, yeah.
for recycling? And people
Yeah.
say, yeah, I do. I want to get rid of them. Well, I need those. That kind of stuff. It's just that sharing,
Yes.
recycling, reusing.
Yeah, social
makes
media
sense.
has become such a great place for sharing and waste reduction and reusing. And you can sell things on Facebook
yeah.
now. You can post something to Facebook publicly. Hey, does anyone have any cardboard boxes? I'm
Yeah.
moving. Instead of buying new
It's
ones.
so great.
Or peanuts, or
Yeah.
I'm looking for a new dryer. By the way, I'm just throwing that out there because mine is broken. And I saw someone on Nextdoor had posted one. They sold it before I could get it, but
Sometimes they're selling it. Sometimes people are just giving stuff away.
Right,
It's like,
right.
I don't have room for this, or I got tired of that, so I want to just give it away. And you can score some really nice
Yes.
things.
Reuse and buying used is becoming such a big deal now. It's not just about saving money. It's not just
Right.
about shopping at Goodwill. It's not just for low-income people.
Right.
It's for anybody who needs to buy a thing but doesn't necessarily need to buy the new thing.
That's right. And Easter, I had 14
Exactly.
people over to my house. I didn't have enough silverware for 14 people, so I went, to a thrift store, and I just, picked up
Perfect.
some, used.
Perfect example.
They were fine.
Yeah.
It worked great. I didn't need them every day, but I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on them. That would be silly.
Exactly,
So
yeah.
it just makes sense to do that. We're almost out of time. What else do we need to know about Earth Day or recycling?
Earth Day's coming up. Save your stuff, bring it to me. Call me if you have any questions. Also, repair is becoming to be a new thing.
Yeah, that repair,
We're doing repair cafes in
yeah,
Gresham.
that's it.
You can find out wherever the local repair cafe is in your area on repairpdx.org. We have one coming up in Gresham on June 6th. So, bring your broken thing and we'll try to fix it, whether it's an appliance, a piece of furniture, a bike, a piece of clothing that needs to be
Really, all
sewn,
that?
jewelry.
Oh, wow. That's impressive. Do you still need volunteers for the Earth Day event?
We are pretty much flush with volunteers now.
good.
We recently got a
Good.
couple of high schools involved.
Nice.
Springwater Trail High School gave us a couple of
Wonderful.
bunch of volunteers, and Boeing was a really great partner. They sent us some. We've got some mass recyclers and a ton of city staff.
Good deal. Well, we are out of time. Thank you, Shauna, so much.
Yes,
Doing
no
amazing
problem.
things at the city, and I appreciate it because it affects all of us. Thanks
My
very
pleasure.
much.
It's
All
fun.
right. Thanks for watching this segment of Community Hotline. Don't go away. We have one more, and you're going to be impressed with these young ladies that are going to be talking to you about the nonprofit that they started while they were in high school. So stick around.
documentary was more than I ever would have dreamed of doing.
This is a community media station.
It was phenomenal.
Ready, camera, one.
What is it about this place that makes so many different people come together?
Ready, camera, two.
Very professional, experienced people.
You can use these industry standard pieces of equipment.
Ready, camera, three. Take three.
You don't have to be rich to do this.
Open people's eyes to something they've never even thought of before.
Cool stuff happens. It becomes this community.
That's going to really change who's telling the stories and who's controlling the messaging.